Hi, Bob Bartlett here with the Ubuntu Fly Anglers Network and iFishiBelong. And this is our podcast series on the reel, and I am your host. This conversation was recorded in 2024 on Instagram, but way too important to only live there. So we have moved this episode and others like it to our podcast. In this episode, LA native Carl Crawford, co-founder of the Ubuntu Fly Anglers Network, an active member of the Pasadena Flycasters Club, casting instructor, surf and Eastern Sierras fly angler, shares his evolution as a fly angler and what he's learned along the way. He also talks about his favorite subject, jazz. Talking jazz with Carl is an amazing story in and of itself. But he talks about jazz, casting for distance, and how to lower those barriers for people of color to get into this sport that we love so much. So stay tuned and enjoy this episode of On the Reel with Carl Crawford. So Carl, I want to start off. How did this whole thing start? Can you, from the beginning, how did this whole thing start? The whole Ubuntu thing.
Well, it seems that so many things feel like accidents, but they're not. And gosh, what was this? About a year and a half ago, you were doing
Yeah.
a presentation, and I'd seen a post on Instagram about that. And I had a prior event that I needed, or meeting that I needed to be on that evening. And so I was doubtful as to whether or not I was going to be able to make your presentation or not online, but I actually caught maybe a half of it and sat there quietly until the end. And I don't know why, what made me stand out to you. I know, but
Let's see. Okay. Anyway, we can get there.
yeah, we know.
We know
Yeah,
why
but
you stood out to
anyway,
me, bro. Come on now, you know why you stood. But anyway, keep going.
yeah, well, your eyes lit up when you saw me. And Carl Crawford, what's your story? Tell me about it. What's happening? And that was how we met. It was on that Zoom presentation call that you were giving. And after
Uh,
it was over with, we hung out on the call to get to introduce each other and get to know a little bit about each other. And it wasn't 5 minutes into that initial conversation that we were talking about what would become Ubuntu. It was something that instantly I realized had been on your heart for many years and had been on mine since about 2006, something like that. Didn't know how it could happen, or I just used to say, wow, it would be really nice if something like this existed. And so we went from there. That's how it happened.
Man, that is how it happened. And like you said, I am totally supportive of your notion that there's accidents. There's no such thing. Really, things happen for a reason. And I remember the presentation I gave was on fly fishing through midlife and beyond after I had blown out my left knee and was going stir crazy in the house. And and that just happened to be it. And there you were. Yeah, you stood out all right, bro. You know why. Um, so your initial thoughts were rooted in 2000. You say what? But 2006. You said that's
That's
where you
right.
realized
Yeah.
everything. Yeah, yeah. And mine
Hmm.
date back there. We talked about this. Mine date back there as well. Someone who grew up on the East Coast and grew up in a small town where I only fished with black folks, and then ended up by accident again, well, accident, whatever, in Colorado, 1972, after finishing up my service in Vietnam, and I was still in the Army. And from that point on, it was like, man, there's something missing from my life. And then years later, Carl Crawford pops up. And I have
Yeah.
to say, bro, when I go a day or two and not hear from you, like opposed to some jazz something or a phone call once a week, I'm like, oh my goodness,
Mhm.
I gotta drop my note. I gotta catch up because our connection is just pretty magical. So, what's your experience been with the Ubuntu creation and where we are right now?
Well, I feel like, it's been mostly one of consultant,
Mm,
you know, where we talk about ideas and I'm able to kind of buff them up and give them something that's almost ready for prime time. But you've been the real energy behind this. I put an idea out there and then it's being worked upon the following morning. And it's like pretty astonishing. So it gives me the confidence to go ahead and put these ideas out there and keep thinking about it and pushing the envelope because it's going to on good soil. It's turning into something,
yeah,
and a lot of things that you've come back at me with that I had never thought about, and I said, "Wow, that makes a lot of sense. Let's do that." And so again, our interaction has been really special, and I'm very appreciative of it, and I'm really excited about where Ubuntu is now and what's getting ready to happen in the coming months and years.
yeah, brother. That's whew. For those of you who don't know, Carl's also a track runner and a runner
I
and a
was,
trackster. Was,
was.
well, you still are. It's in there. And the relay was his thing. And I so appreciate it when we're visiting late in the evening because his brother works, late and we'll have that conversation and we say, okay, here's the handoff. It's coming. It's coming. You're in the block where you going because I'm about to hand this baton to you. And so, absolutely, it's been an absolutely amazing relationship. So it came together, and we did something pretty cool this past October. Do you have a favorite story or experience about that? Tell folks what that was about.
Well, we were able to get together, our leadership team was able to get together and meet each other in person for the very first time. That was, even though we'd been talking for well over a year, that was your and my first in person meeting. And so I remember that first evening when everyone got together, and it was maybe 15 minutes before it was like we had known each other for decades,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there was kidding, people were razzing each other and encouraging each other, and um, it was just really a lot of fun that evening and every minute of those 4 days that we were together. It was just really a very special event, very lot of fun activity that basically I don't think any of us will ever forget.
I tell you what, I'll never forget it. And I've since then received emails from people and stopped on the street even here in Spokane, folks saying, "Wow, I saw pictures of your event and it looked like a really special thing," and it absolutely was. You know, our second oldest daughter, who Erin, was on the leadership team with us. She reminded me the other night that you know Dad, you should feel really good that your passion project, your passion project, actually came together and a part of it anyway, and happened here in Spokane, of all places. And I was absolutely mind just blown away by the experience and us coming together here for the first time. As you said, we are Zoom buddies, but we never really sat down across the table, had a cup of coffee, a beer, or anything. And um, and it truly was magical. Scott, I hope you're there somewhere, and some of the other members of the leadership team tonight, because hats off to y'all for going out of your way, Carl, going out of your way to travel, some of you clear across the country, to be here that weekend, because it was magical. And the fact that we were able to stay together, right? Share meals out of the refrigerator, cold beer, whatever, and just talk about stuff. Just, let's see, Carl Crawford's favorite thing is chop it up. we were able to chop it up and stay up late, get up early, and do it all over again. So that's hats off to everybody. Yes, it is a passion project, but I remind her it's not done yet. We've got a lot of work to do,
let,
you know.
let me go back to that question that you asked
Yeah.
me. What was maybe the most poignant event of the weekend for me was the evening before we went fishing on the Spokane River. And I was talking with Lolita Robinson, and she was expressing her fear of getting into a boat.
Oh yeah.
And we talked long and seriously about how good a time she was going to have the following day. She seemed to be really afraid, and I felt for her, but I knew how much fun that she was going to have. And then the next day, I kept looking over at her out she was on another boat in the river, and she was pulling in fish, and I was just like celebrating on the inside, and everybody was yelling and screaming, and that was just too cool.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to see if Lolita's on here, but yeah, we could talk about her for a long time because everyone was concerned about her. You're absolutely right. That evening, she's like, I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah.
Right, getting in a boat. She had some other things going too, but that morning to see her with her life jacket on, she said, I only do this if I can put on several life jackets. And I said, you won't be able to get in the boat, sister. Wait a minute, you got to get it down to one life jacket. But that was a magical thing, and to see her get in the boat, and um, again, props to our lead guide Mark Fritt, who pulled that all together. The number of boats we had, exactly the number of boats we needed, and as we talked about it, Carl, because we were all concerned because she flat made it plain that she'd never fished out of a boat before. um, Mark said, "Look, I want her in my boat." He's a professional guide, and he said, "Let me have her in my boat because I'm used to working with clients, and some of them have never been in a boat before." So, excuse me. I said, "Mark, you got it, man." And so away we went, and she caught fish. Matter of fact, we all caught fish, and but it was really good to see Lolita, land the fish, and we all hooped and hollered. You're exactly right. That day was pretty magical as well. To see all of us together down at the park, just gearing up to get in the rafts, and that that was part of the dream come true for me, for real. That we were all there together, rigging up with our gear, you know, as a family. And as you said, as a family, we just barely met as a family the night before, and here we were, yucking it up, having a great time on the water, climbed in the rafts, and spent the next 4 or 5 hours, 4 or 5 hours on the Spokane River, right here through downtown Spokane. I think Lolita was also the one that mentioned this is kind of crazy because it is an urban fishery, right? It's not like your LA River, but
Right.
it's definitely an urban fishery. And as we were getting in the boats, and I think it was Lolita that looked up and said, "There's Nordstroms." there's Nordstroms and AMC Theater were on the river about to go out over salmon that have been reintroduced into that river. And we're about to catch uh, uh, red band trout, which are indigenous to that river. So it was magic. And I'm
And
just,
it's a real river
oh,
in its natural state. It's not like the rivers here in California, in the cities of California that are cemented in and
Yeah.
for flood control. This was a genuine river that runs right through the heart of downtown, with the shopping areas on the cliffs overlooking the main hole where we put in at.
Well, we're really proud of it, and we work hard to keep it, and make it even better than what it is already, but to keep it a thriving fishery. And again, the Spokane Confederated Tribes and others have been working really hard to get the salmon population up in the river. Unfortunately, the Spokane dumps into the Columbia River and then on to the ocean, but there are several dams on that river, as you know, and the fish can't get past some of them. And so the tribes have been working very, very hard to find ways to get those salmon back in the river. So there was a point when we were right over them and folks were looking down, and some were fortunate enough to see them in the river, and they hadn't been there for decades upon decades. So that was awesome. So any other particular, so let's see, you caught, yeah, we have pictures of you holding fish and you catching fish. Were you in Liv's boat? Who was on the
Yeah, I was
board?
in Liv's boat.
You was in Liv's boat.
Yeah,
Okay.
she was a
Yeah.
real pro.
Yes, she is. She's amazing. Um, so yeah, you caught, and then Emma, I don't know if Emma's on here, but
Emma
Emma
was on the
Brown on our
boat as
leadership
well.
team, she
Yeah,
caught the trophy red band, I think, of the day, and that was within the first 5 minutes.
yeah, that was
So,
her first or
like,
second cast
oh yeah, we're like, okay, this is gonna be
with a
good.
new rod.
Yeah, that's always like beginner something, huh? But anyhow, we did that, and we hung out, and I have to say, one of my favorite things that I was a part of was doing the fundraising and to bring us all together, and it was amazing to meet people over coffee or beer, and they said, "Well, tell me about this Ubuntu thing and what you're doing," and I would tell them, and they would just flat say, "I want to invest in that," and it was just so cool to meet so many people that way, not ask for money, but have them offer to do to help out to make this happen. And so hats off to all those donors and sponsors. Our local fly shop gifted us with gear, Silverbow Fly Shop here in Spokane. Bellissimo Wineries gifted us with cases of beer that or no, not beer, wine that pretty much got consumed the evenings and when we sat around and had the time to do it. And Empire Health Foundation, they gave us a small grant to make this happen and hosted the dinner when we had the appreciation dinner in their facility. So that was particularly those 4 days will live on in infamy, as they say. They didn't even happen on December 7th, but they will definitely live in infamy. And also, with that, because people posted, there are folks out there now starting to say, "Hey, that was awesome. How can I get involved? Or I'd like to do something. Tell me what I can do to make Ubuntu even better." Right? So sky's the limit. I've often said we're only limited by our lack of imagination. And Carl, you are so good at that, as you said, man. I can't tell you how good it is to have you willing to talk at 10 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock in the evening after you've had your day. I'm retired, right? So every day's Saturday to me. But you're always there to say, "Hey, what's up? What's cooking? What do you need from me?" And that's what Ubuntu's really about. You had a chance at one point to connect with Nick Hall and some folks in Denver when you were traveling on business. That prior to that you may not have known, but it was that one of those Ubuntu connections. That's
Yeah.
that's what we're about, right? Finding people out there, right? So one thing we jump to the future real quick is this is your second on the reel, but we got plans, right, for this particular show to go to another level. And I'm really excited about that. Yeah, you're right, man. And this is because I've called you and said I was freaking out because this technology being what it is, and not sure the shows were going to happen or guests were able to tune in. But just to jump ahead, 2025, um, we're going to move to a podcast. We're going to move this to a live podcast. Um, and some of you that are watching, um, if you want to be a guest on the show, you have an experience you want to share, or um, something related to fly angling or environmental activism, hit us up. Drop a message. What do you call it? DM thing, whatever they call it. Drop a message and let's talk, because we want to take this to a new level, right, Carl? We want to make this a more what they call robust format, and our
Yeah.
insights are going up. So we're going to do that, and we're also going to do some educational programs in
It's going to be delivered
2025.
via YouTube, right?
Yeah, we're going to move all this. This is going to get moved to the YouTube channel. So exciting things ahead. Something else is going to happen next year too. Do you want to talk about that idea, that
Well,
plan?
we're looking at providing some educational content. There are areas that each of us specialize in. And so
Right.
we're going to basically try to share that information with those who follow us, who maybe want to get involved with us. Um, I know that you and Joyce,
Joyce?
no, you and who is it that's going to be, you're going to be doing a
Oh,
streamer forum?
yeah, yeah. Tracy Lewis, Nicole Tracy Lewis, up in
Yeah,
Ottawa. She might have. I think I saw her come by, but maybe I didn't. Yeah, Nicole Tracy Lewis, who lives up in Ottawa. We're going international, bro. Who ever thought of that? Who
yeah.
ever thought of that? We're international. Dadgummit. But yeah, we're going to do a streamer show next in 2025, because I found a sister that loves the Chuck streamers.
Yeah.
So we're going to do a streamer show. Yeah, and I'm
And
hoping. I'm
Joyce
hoping
in
you,
North Carolina, you don't know this, but you and I are going to do a casting show, casting clinic.
Joyce. Yeah, he's talking to you, Joyce. Yes. Yes, you and Carl. Carl loves the Chuck, and we've both been studying your videos, and so that's going to be an awesome show. So we're gonna mix it up, right? It's not just going to be about us just hanging and chopping it up about meaningful stuff, but also do some educational things. Do some educational stuff. Like, yeah, streamer fishing, and we also talked about something around being safe on the water, health wise. Being able to pick up on indicators that have to do with maybe heat stroke, feigning, first aid kits, what should be in a first aid kit, right? I I remember once coming across a guy who needed a first aid kit, and I had my little first aid kit, my little one with the cross on it, the little pack. I carry it in my truck, and he goes, no, I mean a rope. He said, I need a big first aid kit. We didn't have anything. There were three others of us that had our little first aid. So anyway, talking about first aid, what should you have in there, right? Uh, Besides ibuprofen and stuff. So we got lots of exciting programming that we're going to be putting together, content for 2025. But there's also one other thing that we're going to start working on happening here with our sister down there in Denver. You want to throw that out?
Well, we're going to be gathering in September, probably late September, in Denver to run another retreat similar to what we did in Spokane. And we're going to be in the community working with some of the angling organizations in Colorado. Um, it's just going to be a action packed, probably 5, 6 days. I would suspect, with all that we have on our list that we need to do and that we want to do. And again, while this is about fishing, you've heard that, even though it's about fishing, it's not. It's about a lot of other things. And so we always want to deliver value to wherever we go. And ultimately, we want to make fly fishing better than we found it. And so the activities that we are involved in, that's the spirit of where we're going with Ubuntu. And so I want to encourage those of you who are here and observing our conversation to engage with us and throw in and see how you can help us do what we're trying to do and what we're going to do.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited. You know, our one of our wisdom circle, Emma Brown, down in Longmont, she's gonna work on bringing us all down there and to be able to hang out because some of the things that we did here, we want to be consistent about, right? One of those things is putting rods in the hands of some young folks that look like us. Absolutely essential to who we are as Ubuntu. Act fishing together. You know, again, daughter Erin said, this was about fishing, wasn't it? I said, yep, and it will always be about being able to be on a stream with brothers and sisters, man. That's, to me, that's where it's at. So we're going to do those and also have an appreciation event to thank our donors and sponsors. Um, so it's really exciting, and you'll be
Hey,
hearing
Bob.
folks out. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a question here.
Oh,
For those of us that are new, can you briefly summarize Ubuntu, please?
yes. Well, the mission statement is the word Ubuntu, as some of you may be familiar with, but Ubuntu is actually a South African word, and it basically means I am because we are, and that's what drives us. That's why we're family first. I am because we are, and we came together because many of us have been doing this a long time, been fly fishing, fly angling, part of environmental groups, doing instruction, where we were the only one that looked like us. And if you've ever been to trade shows and you look like us, um, we're shockingly absent typically. And so as we start talking about, Carl and I initially, and then others got into conversation like, you know, we need to be intentional if we're going to if we want to spend time together. You know, so Ubuntu was all about that in the beginning. It's just how can we get to know, meet, fish with, hang out with other black and brown folks across the country. We all have the same passion. And then it grew into this particular family of folks. And I hope that answers your question. And we're all about education. We have you can go to our Facebook page or .com page. Just go to Ubuntu Fly Anglers .com. You can drop me an email at ubuntuflyanglers@gmail.com, or you can message me here with your number, and Carl will know. I'll call you, and I'll send a Zoom invite. So anyone who has questions, deeper questions, please reach out. Okay, just send me a message, and I promise you I'll get back to you, or someone will, as quickly as possible. So I hope that answers your question. That's a good question, and I appreciate you. We're an affinity group. Unapologetically, we're an affinity group. We're black and brown folks just trying to create community, get legs under us so we can change what we all know exists out there, and that's few of us that are visible. We're all over the place, but we're just not visible. So, is there another question out there? I hope that answers your question, but just drop me a note. Um, you're welcome. You're welcome. So I want to hear from you. Anyone out there who has anything at all, any kind of question at all, want to know more, please let me know. And Carl's available as well. I don't know, Carl, you want to just drop your um, email address out there for folks if they want to reach out
Sure,
to you?
sure.
Okay, we'll get that done. Well, Dad, it, our time is up already. I did, Carl. There's also the one other thing that we're going to do in 2025 that people might find exciting. I'm beginning to sound like a Baptist preacher now. One more thing. The one other thing that we will be launching probably in the third quarter of 2025, which is really really exciting, is we're going to be working on putting together what we call an Ubuntu Fly Anglers Green Book. For those of you who are not familiar with the Green Book, there was a movie based on a real story, a real event. A man by the name of Green, brother back in 1936, published a book for black folks for safe travel around the country. It started small and it grew. And so it had safe places to stay, eat, those sorts of things, black friendly places, businesses. Well, we're going to take that, and that ran until 1967.
That's
But
right.
we're going to take that, right? We're going to take that idea and put it into a locator system where you say you're traveling to Pennsylvania and you want to fly fish, you want to go out, but you don't know anyone, you don't know any brothers and sisters there. Well, with this particular, once we get this underway, you'll be able to click on Pennsylvania and people will begin popping up that look like us, that look like you, with contact information, so you can reach out to them. So that's another one of the exciting things we're going to be doing. It's in its infancy right now, just talking through it, because there's some technical things, plus there's some other issues that you have to be careful to build in, right, to the Green Book. But we're looking forward to that as well, so that it makes it a little bit easier for us to find one another. So is there any other, Carl, did you happen to notice any other questions down there that anyone had that we could answer, you or me?
Well, no more questions. One of our participants out there noted that he's putting together a hunting green book for the state of Michigan with a brother of his. So again, it's a great idea, and that allows us to network together. When we're going someplace, we can take a ride and have confidence that there'll be somebody that we can at least get some information from locally, if not go fishing and share some lies with.
Absolutely. The more folks that create, the more of us that create these networks, the better. And it was your idea, by the way, to call the network, because they're like, oh, it's a club, or we this or that. And you're like, let's be a network. And so it's working. It's working. And that's pretty cool. Like I said, it was how I met Nicole Tracy Lewis up in Ottawa, Canada, how I met Joyce down in North Carolina, how I met you, how I met Lolita, all these folks. It's been through this particular format. So, well, Carl, thanks, bro. You're the best, and I so appreciate your jazz drops in Instagram. And I'm like, whew, man, that was the day, wasn't it? And you always being there for me, because I truly need you in my life. Everyone else, man, thanks for joining us. What a ride this has been. We just touched on a little bit. It's been amazing, and it's only limited by our lack of imagination. So if you want to reach out to us, please do. Any way you can, and we'll get back to you. Love talking about this stuff and love an opportunity to come together. Hopefully at some point down the road, not too distant future, we'll actually, we being all of us hunters of color, they're out there, and brown folks fishing, they're out there, that we all come together somewhere. Maybe it's LA, maybe it's Denver, maybe it's North Carolina, Washington D.C. Because I would really love to see an expo of us, right? I mean, phew, that would be amazing. So thank you for listening, everyone. You can also watch each episode on our YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram at Ubuntu Fly Anglers on Instagram and UbuntuFlyAnglers.com on Facebook. You can also message me directly at UbuntuFlyAnglers@gmail.com. So thanks, everyone, for listening and watching. See you next time. Tight lines.